Hey and welcome back to my channel. If you want to create great melodies, I have a technique for you how you can come up with new ideas for melodies. In the first episode of this three-part series, I will introduce you into music theory, scales and chords, which are the foundation of melodies and which contain the emotions of your melody. If you're interested in simple and effective Psytrance tutorials, then you should subscribe to this channel. Before I give you a quick dive into music theory, I want to give you a quick listen to different scales, and I have prepared 3 scales for you. So the first scale is G major, and a major scale usually sounds happy, or it has like a happy character underneath. And next to the major scale, a very common scale is the minor scale, and the minor scale sounds more sad. And here the last scale is the scale we're using today. It's actually a mode. The minor scale is actually as well a mode, as you will get explained later. But this is the Phrygian mode, and that's the scalar mode we are using today. This mode has a little bit more tension in it. And now I will give you a quick dive into music theory, what actually scales are and how to build them. Before we start, I will give you a quick introduction into music theory. A very basic introduction. We will take a look at scales. The easiest scale is, in my opinion, the major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And why it's the easiest scale for me? Because this is exactly how the white keys on the piano are. So if you look at the white keys, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. This brings us also to what is actually a scale. And as you see, we are not playing all the notes here on the piano. We are leaving all the black keys away. And that's basically the first part of a scale. It's a selection of notes. And the second thing which defines a scale is the pattern of intervals. So if you look, for example, how we get from C to D, we have 2 half steps, 1 half step and a second half step, which gives us 1 whole step from C to D. If we look, for example, from E to F, we only have 1 half step. So if you look at a major scale, the pattern of a major scale is basically whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. That's the pattern of a major scale. And if we look at that scale in Ableton, I put it in here. So as you can see, it's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then C again. So this is basically our pattern. As you can see, a whole step is basically moving 2 steps up here in Ableton as well. And then another whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And as I have mentioned, what a scale actually is this pattern of distances. So you can build any scale, any major scale out of this C major scale by just moving it up or down. For example, if we want to have C sharp major, then we would just move this 1 semitone up. If we want to have D major, then we would move from C to D, just everything by 2 semitones. That easy. So you can build any major scale by just shifting this pattern, the whole pattern, up or down, depending on where you want to start. Now we come to a second thing. It's called modes, and the mode is basically just where you start in the scale. So if we take, for example, the minor scale, it's actually a mode from this scale. And the minor scale, the relative minor, would be just the same notes, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, but starting at A. So the minor scale is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then A again. And if we look at this in Ableton, it's pretty easy to get from this major scale to the minor scale. You just take all the notes down here and put them 1 octave up. And then you are basically on the minor scale. You have A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And in today's video, we will use the Phrygian mode. And the Phrygian mode is basically the same, but with the starting position E. We take those both notes, move them 1 octave up, and now we got E Phrygian. But as we don't wanna program our melody in E, because the kick and the bass is in G in this track, I will transpose this scale to G, as I have shown with transposing the major scale. And it's really simple, as I have shown in the beginning with the major scale. You just move it up to G, and you keep the same distance pattern, and then you have the G Phrygian mode. So the G Phrygian mode is G, G sharp, A sharp, C, D, D sharp, and F. So if we look at the scale, we have G, A, B, 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 C, D, E, B, and F. But now you're probably asking A, B, but in Ableton here is G sharp. The reason for that is it's just a difference in writing. So G sharp is basically the same note as if you take A and go 1 semitone down, like A flat, so A, B. That's the same. It's called an enharmonic. I think the reason, correct me if I'm wrong, if you use sharps or flats, is that you don't want to have the same note twice in a scale. So if we would use G sharp here in the scale notation, then we would have G and G sharp, and that would be like 2 Gs in the same scale. And that's something which I think is avoided in scales, and that's why it's written like this. So that's how we built the scale we want to use in this project. I will use the word scale also for modes in this tutorial for the sake of simplicity. So we have chosen the G Phrygian scale here for our track. And the next thing I want to show you are chords, because chords are, in my opinion, also pretty useful for building melodies. In Psytrance or in trance in general, there's a lot of repetition in melodies, and you can build arpeggios from chords, which is basically playing chord notes, single chord notes at a time. So a chord is basically a combination of notes, and it's the same concept as with the scales. As you remember, a scale is the pattern of distances between the notes, and if you would define a chord, I would say it's basically the distances between those notes you combine. So for example, if we start here on G, we can build a minor chord. Maybe that synthesizer doesn't sound so much like this, but a minor chord is basically sounding a bit more sad in comparison to a major chord, which is just this middle note shifted up 1 semitone, and this changes the pattern. So the minor chord pattern is basically 1, 2, 3 half steps, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. And the major chord is basically other way around. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 half steps. But notice, as I put the scale here on the left side, this note is not part of the scale. Just to spoiler you, you can use notes which are not in the scale. For the sake of simplicity, we will only use notes which are within the scale, because it gets way more complex if we kind of use notes out of the scale, because they kind of like create more tension, and this is a whole nother story. And why we want to look at the chords in the scale is because we can build arpeggios from that chords. So an arpeggio is basically if you apply a set of rules on that chord. So for example, an arpeggio would be move up the notes in the chord. Something like this. Or it could be the other way around. It could be take the chord and move it from up to down. And I think with those chords as starting points, and if you build the arpeggios from it, you can create a lot of interesting melodies already. So that's the first thing if you want to have like a structured approach to melodies. is using chords and building arpeggios from them. And I will put a link to this page in the description because I think it's really interesting. It shows you not only the scale notes, but also like the most important chords and all the chord combinations you can make. And with this, it's a little bit more easy to explore those chords in the scale. And I would really recommend you to look at these different scales, choose one for your project, and then learn the most basic chords. So I think really important chords are like the major chord, the minor chord, diminished, augmented chords, and sustained chords. And I think it may be a bit boring to show them all here in the YouTube video, but they all have like different moods. So for example, a sustained chord is not really going in a certain direction, in my opinion. It kind of helps to build up a tension. A minor chord is more sad, a major chord is more happy. A diminished chord is really interesting because it sounds spooky. So we can build, for example, a diminished chord here from D, F, and A, B. So let's build that one really quickly. Here, A, B. You see that has kind of a dissonant feeling to it, which is perfect for this a little bit more spooky melodies. And that's really gold if you kind of like look into those chords. It's a lot of work to explore them, but they will help you a lot with building the melodies. Here I put you a link to the playlist where you find all the videos about melodies. And also a link to a video about arrangement tips that you can place your melody properly in your track. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, then please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel.